Hi, I'm Connor Watson, and this is Marlee and Me. To be honest, I had conversations with Jodie about not playing again. Yeah, with Mum, sorry. We spoke about it for sure. I was looking at what can I do.
A few years ago, when I was scrolling on Instagram around the NRL's annual Indigenous Round, I saw a collection of some pretty incredible football boots that had been painted with Aboriginal art. After some investigating, I saw they'd been done in conjunction with a non-profit called Cultural Choice Association, a charity that was set up to help Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander kids learn where to find help and speak about their mental health. I would soon find that this charity had also been set up by a rugby league player. It was Connor Watson. After reaching out to him and saying that I'd like to be involved in such an important initiative, we began a friendship. Over the last 4 years, I have been moved by the incredible work that Cultural Choice Association does with the next generation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children. Over this time, I've got to know Connor personally as well, and I can tell you he's a pretty incredible person for how he pushes himself both on and off the field. This episode was recorded on the lands of the Gadigal people. Connor Watson.
Hello.
Hello. It is so nice to welcome you on to this new podcast that I'm working on, and also really nice because we've known each other for a fair while now,
Yes.
just to sit down and yarn like this. I mean, first of all, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, going good. It's been a bit of a whirlwind of a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of, a lot's happened, I guess, especially, coming back from the knee and just being consistent with my footy and really enjoying it. It's been nice just to play.
Yeah.
You just, I forgot how much I missed it last year, and probably just a bit of the sort of anger that comes with having a season injury. You sort of try to not miss it. I'm sweet. I don't want to, you don't try not to watch that much footy. But then once I started sort of being back there this year and playing and training and just, really remembered how much I loved it, and it's been good.
That's awesome. I think, anyone who knows you's probably been so stoked to see you get to play basically a full season, because it's not the first time you've had some bad injuries, and I want to get into that a little bit later, but I always like to start this by understanding, how does Connor come to be the man that he is today? And that obviously comes from family and your upbringing and all those sorts of things. And you also know this question, because I have to start with, can you tell us who's your mob, or where you're from, where your family's from?
Yeah, so my name's Connor Watson. I'm a Gamilaroi man. My family, so my dad's from out Walgett Way, and then I was born in Dubbo, and lived there for a few years, not too long. I left when I was 4, and then I grew up on the Central Coast. So, a lot of my family, pretty much everyone's still in Dubbo, except one of my uncles and aunties. They're in Avoca as well, which, I don't know if we moved there because of them. Maybe. I think they were there first. That's my mum's brother. And then sort of the rest of the family still in Dubbo. Got a lot of family in Canamble as well. So they're all still out that way and get out there a little bit. Yeah.
And where feels the most like home then?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it's Avoca for sure. Yeah. As a kid, I loved going back to Dubbo. It was the best thing ever, going back there and just being with my cousins and all that. Because, as a kid, your cousins are sort of your best mates.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then as I sort of got older, and I guess I probably appreciated, being up by the beach more, and probably just the opportunities that come with being a bit closer to Sydney. Yeah, definitely played a big part in why I'm here today. I think, I don't know how yeah, obviously there's still a lot of like NRL players that have like sort of made it from Dubbo and stuff, but I'm not sure if that's the path I would have taken if I was still out there. So
it does feel like there's so many athletes, you know, not just in the NRL, but, you know, across many sports who come from the Central Coast. And I feel like it must be a good breeding ground, or where there is a great culture around sport. What was it like growing up there?
Yeah, like when you have a look at it, there is a fair few. I mean, like even at the high school I went to, St Edwards, I was there till year 10, and like the year above me, but my age, like had the Safidi brothers. Tom Starling was a couple years below. Bradman Best was at our school for a bit. And then there's a couple guys like Sandon Smith.
Yeah, wow. That's just
in
one school.
Just in our school. And then like, you know, I played with Nico and like Jacob Little in the Central Coast rep team, Jack Cogger. Yeah, just as a kid, like even our Harold Matthews team, we didn't make the finals, but if you look at our Harold Matthews team, like there was a fair few guys who made the NRL in the end, which is, yeah, it's pretty crazy to look back at. And yeah, I think, I don't know if it's just the lifestyle on the coast, and then plus like you're closer to Sydney, like I spoke about. So when it starts to get a bit serious at our age, you know, like you could go to clubs like Manly and Newcastle. Now the Roosters do a really good job there. Like they've got that pathway set up, so they're getting sort of all of those Central Coast kids to come through. But I think, yeah, it's a great place to grow up, and definitely the amount of athletes that have come out of there has got to be something that's working.
Yeah, something in the water.
Yeah, something in the water.
What about within your household growing up? Tell me what that was like. Mum, dad, younger brother.
Yeah, no, it was good. So, mum, dad, little brother Fletcher. We had lived in a place not far from the school in Avoca. It was kind of like in the middle of the Hazlitt Oval, which is the main oval in Avoca, and then the school. So, yeah, it was pretty much like walk to school, walk home, after school, get changed. Everyone from Avoca would like literally go down to Hazlitt if we didn't have footy training, and it was just like play footy from 4 o'clock until it basically got dark, and that's when we had to be home. Was once the street lights come on was pretty much the rule. Then you got to come home. But it was the best. I remember we used to play a lot of mud footy as well. That was like the pinnacle of the park rugby, the Arvo Rugby League was when it'd been pouring all day and we were at school, and the Avoca Oval didn't have the best drainage. Yeah. Kind of was like playing when we played on the stadium the other week. Where
so you had some practice.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, when I was out there, I was thinking, oh man, if I was a little kid, I would be loving this right now. And then I even spoke to, because I think it was similar for like Ratter and those boys growing up in Bronte. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, like we used to do this as well. And you'd all go and get your wetsuit and then just play mud footy in your wetsuit or lavo. And yeah, it's definitely like some great memories there. So.
Yeah. It sounds like, that classic kind of Aussie suburban upbringing. I think I had a similar one too. But the great benefit of knowing you and knowing your family is I know your mum a fair bit as well. And she's, I think, a pretty incredible woman. And I want to ask you, like, she's quite entrepreneurial and has been a businesswoman. And, growing up with female leadership like that in your life, what was that like?
Yeah, no, it was, it's been epic. Like, she's such a beast. When I was young, so like she's a hairdresser by trade. So all this sort of stuff's come a bit new to her, like later in life. But I think, I don't know if it's just like, sort of her values and the way she goes about things is, I guess, why she's been good at it. But I've been very lucky. Like I've sort of, got good and bad things from both my parents, and I can, like, some of the things that annoy me about mum, then like I'll go and be chatting to Kiana, and then she's like, you're doing exactly what your mum does to you right now to me. Like, I guess the pushing part and just sort of like wanting the best. And you know, what it's like. Mum's always right, and sometimes we don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was good. I've definitely learnt so much off her, and she's still like probably the number one person I go to for advice on anything, like all different topics, whether it's, you know, like, you know, stuff for the charity, like, which you know a lot about, but then just, you know, footy, like, what do I do in this situation? This is like, yeah, I'll still probably call her most days and chat to her about that stuff. So, yeah, it's good. It's good to have that relationship with her. I'm very lucky.
Would you say that she pushed you growing up then? Was that what you were alluding to?
Yeah, definitely. I think like both her and Dad did. Yeah, I think they knew, I guess, how badly I wanted to do this for a living, to play rugby league. Like, it's all I ever wanted to do as a kid. So I think they gave me every opportunity to do that, and then also didn't want me to waste it as well. So yeah, I definitely, like, I guess the way I sort of train and all of that stuff has stemmed from that. Like, yeah, I can just remember Dad like running me through different like fitness drills and always wanting me to be the fittest in my team. And yeah, it's definitely sort of instilled a lot in me. And then, yeah, Mum sort of, I guess, not because she wasn't like Dad grew up playing rugby league in Dubbo, and so from like a physical standpoint, I guess he sort of knew what it took to an extent, and then, yeah, Mum just always sort of kept, you know, me, I guess, on the straight and narrow, and trying to strive for what I wanted to do. So.
Did they push you in school as well?
Tried to. I think the difference was probably I didn't like school. Yeah. Oh, it's not that I didn't like it. I just wasn't. I would say I wouldn't be great at it. But yeah, I think in the end, like, because I went down to boarding school in year 11 and 12, and in the end they wanted me to go to boarding school just to try and, you know, do the best that I could for my schooling in year 11 and 12. So. Something that I wasn't keen on that when they sort of first were like, what do you reckon? I was like, nah, no way. But I'm glad I did it. Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, actually come about, I was about to go to St. Greg's. It was funny, Jimmy Witters and I were playing in the Indigenous under-16s team, the National Rugby Union side.
Yeah.
And we played in this rugby tournament at Riverview.
Yeah.
And so I was going to St. Greg's. I think Jimmy was almost going to St. Greg's as well.
Yeah.
And then we were at this tournament, and then Knox and like a couple schools were there watching, and then they come and were like, boys, do you want to come and have a look at coming to Knox? Like, we'd love to have you. I was like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to go to St. Greg's, but they're like, just come have a look at the school. Yeah. And then sort of on the way through, stopped in at Knox, and once I sort of saw the school, and I think the fact it was closer to home too, like going to St. Greg's was a 3 or a 4 hour train ride, like from Gosford, where I could sort of get to Knox in 40 minutes, 50 minutes, if I didn't fall asleep and end up at Central Station, which happened a few times. Yeah, far out. That was like, I remember, because when I get the train back to school on Sundays, like first few times I didn't set an alarm or anything, and then I would just wake up and I'd be at Central Station and I'd missed because you had to be at school for a certain point to check back in. Yeah. And then after that I never stopped setting alarms when I got on the train, just so I didn't fall asleep. But no, it was good.
And you ended up at Knox on a scholarship? Do you want to explain that?
I was on a AIEF scholarship, which was like so good.
For people who don't know what AIEF is.
Australian
Indigenous Education Foundation. Is it fun?
Foundation.
Yeah.
So those guys, they do like such a terrific job. Even like when I was started at Knox and I was playing rugby union, but I wanted to play league as well on the Sundays, and I had this big sort of a debacle with, I'd signed a contract with the Knights as a 16-year-old, but they never lodged it. And then, so it never went through the NRL. And then like Peter Tunks, who I just met, he saw me play once, and then he like looked after all of that and basically got that contract ripped up, and then so then I could come and play down in the South comp. So I've been lucky that I've had like, I guess, a lot of these people along the way, especially people who have like sort of been there and done it, and like they've all played rugby league at high levels, and just pushed me, I guess, to get the most out of it.
What do you think they saw in you?
I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'll maybe just a bit of cheekiness or whatever it was, but...
Well, you must have had, like, even though you said, like, you were relaxed or whatever when you first came down, you must have had, you know, a pretty good work ethic when you
Yeah, no, I did. And like I spoke to you about, like, my dad pushed me, like, when I was younger, like, I'd go on runs with him, and I think I've said this story before, and, like, he'd be in the car, like, driving next to me. He'd be just, like, doing the Ks off the car.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So just even, like, stuff like that. So I definitely, when I trained, had, like, a good work ethic and always trained hard. And I think one of the issues I had as well, and I don't know if your report card always said this, was like good kid but easily distracted. And but I was like that with my training as well. So it took me a while to sort of I always trained hard, but I always mucked around and wanted to have fun. So eventually, like, I feel like I'm at a good point now where I hope I am, where I can still have fun, but also, like, when it's time to switch on. But
Yeah. The other big part of your life, which you've already, you know, alluded to, is your culture, your Aboriginal identity. And I think that anyone who's got a cultural background that they're connected to can see when they become an adult how much that plays a part. You already spoke about, like, your trips back to Dubbo and being around family and all that sort of stuff, but did you always understand what it meant to be Aboriginal?
So probably not, like, fully. Nah. I think, like, I've known since I was little, as long as I can remember. But it probably wasn't until I actually started to, like, play footy in some of these teams. And, you know, I spoke about the Australian Indigenous team before, and I made the New South Wales Koori side when I was 16 as well. And like, but even in primary school and in high school, we still had, like, we had a Indigenous or Aboriginal liaison, AEO maybe, Aboriginal Education Officer, and they would, like, we'd go and they'd take us on different excursions, and we'd do different cultural stuff, and you know, go and see different sites and all of that, and it was really cool. But I don't think I really understood it properly until I started sort of, like, making these teams and doing like more cultural stuff and diving in and meeting more people and I feel like I've been very fortunate to, like, play in these different footy teams and play in, like, the Indigenous All-Stars and play for Walgett and, like, in the knockout, because when I do that, like, at those times, I feel like I'm the most, you know, culturally connected and, like, really strong in myself. Yeah.
I think, you know, for better or for worse, sport's always been the place where we've been able to show that cultural pride more freely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's hard to, you know, have a parent who's non-Indigenous and an Aboriginal parent. Like, how's that been like? Yeah,
I think like, it was a bit different because I grew up on the Central Coast too, in Avoca. like there wasn't many Aboriginal people getting around there. Like it's fairly, there was a couple, like one of my best mates, Will, Harry, like in my year, there's probably 3 of us. So I feel like it was sort of hard for me to really connect with it away from football when I was there. So that's why this, I guess, in my life now, through football and then through like the charity and stuff, I think it's really helps me properly connect like with it and understand more of like what it means and because I probably was a little bit disconnected when I was younger to it, and not being out in Dubbo and Canamble, like where sort of that side of the family is. Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you're not black enough?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely have. I think, like even when I was in school and stuff, when I was young, like you know, it was always, you can't be Aboriginal, you're not black. Like, yeah, always that, like it, from as young as I can remember, like as soon as in primary school even, like that was sort of what was said to me. So, yeah, definitely did. And there's like even been times where it's like later in life, it's like people still say the same thing, like it's been challenged. And, but yeah, I think like, you know, I know who I am and I'm proud of it. So, yeah, and I'm in a very fortunate position where, you know, I'm able to connect through my culture, through doing what I love and giving back as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a huge part of the way that we see you publicly connecting to your culture these days is particularly around Indigenous Round in the NRL and the way that your boots are always looking pretty deadly in that round, and that's connected to the charity. So tell us that story about how Culture Choice Association came to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Marlee's actually also vice president of the Culture Choice Association.
I don't know if we've ever talked about the actual titles that we have now.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the call up, Marlee and I. So we used to just be board members, but they voted Marlee in as vice president and me as president this year, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey to be on. Obviously, started with you know, with tragedy in the family, with my younger cousin Parker taking his life, unfortunately, back in 2017. So he was a teenager back then, and yeah, hit pretty hard. I can remember getting the call off mum and it was just like shock. Yeah, to be honest, a lot of shock and a lot of questions why. And I think, you know, unfortunately for like my auntie Kel, she's still got a lot of questions, and yeah, she's been such a trooper through it all. Like she's an absolute beast, and you know, such a strong woman, and sort of been through so much. And yeah, definitely someone I look up to, the way the resilience that she's got, and yeah, just how she's sort of been able to, you know, move on as well as she can, and yeah, soldier on. But when that happened, I guess, you know, like I spoke about these opportunities that I sort of had before, and when I was young, my dad was an AEO as well. He was out at Berkeley Vale High, Tuggerah Lakes, so he'd always sort of work with all the Aboriginal kids out there. So like we as a family have spoken about what like would be cool if we could start something eventually, and then yeah, after this happened with Parker, and then sort of you do like a bit of research about Indigenous youth suicide, and I mean suicide generally in the world right now, you know, in every culture, it's like an alarming high rate, like yeah, and then, you know, post-COVID mental health as well, but particularly in Indigenous communities and in rural communities. So that's how Culture Choice Association started, was, all right, well, you know, like we don't want other families to go through this. So what can we do to try and raise awareness to the issue, and then at the time I was going out to visit Kirinari Hostel a fair bit, which is a hostel for people who don't know. It's a hostel. There's a couple of them. There's one in Newcastle, one in Sydney, and it's for boys, teenage boys and teenage men, and they basically come down from wherever they are, out in the country, some of them down south, up north, and they basically live in this hostel, and it's, you know, for better opportunities. Like, you know, some of these kids are from rural communities and want to try and crack it in rugby league, and so it's a better opportunity for them to come down and live in Sydney or Newcastle and try and play and go to school. And yeah, so I would just go out and visit them, and like Lietta and Jade at the Newcastle one, they do such a good job. They're two of the best people I know. And then I just sort of thought it might be cool to see if these kids want to paint our boots. And then I ended up asking like a few of the boys, because there's 10 kids there, if they'd be keen to do it. Then everyone was keen. So we got like 20 pairs of boots, and then we we're trying to find, well, who else can we get to paint them? So yeah, that's how that happened. And
so that became Boots for Brighter Futures.
Yeah. And then we ended up raising some like good money from it.
And nowadays the programs run in high schools.
Yeah.
On the Central Coast in the Hunter region.
Yeah, we did.
And in juvenile justice centres as well.
Yeah, we did some Sydney schools this year too. Like, it's been so enjoyable. Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. So,
what do you think are the biggest lessons that you've learned, or the moments that'll stick with you forever from the kids that you've connected with?
Because we've, like you said before, we've done it in a fair few of the juvies as well. And one of the students was in the juvie and hadn't spoken, sort of had a big falling out with his like family, and through the program, his auntie sort of had started coming in to see him and reconnecting through him, because she was helping him paint the boots. And he was about to get out, he had nowhere to live, and then through that, his auntie actually offered him, you know, the opportunity to come and live with them and the family. And yeah, I can remember sort of mum hearing that and just like crying. Yeah, crying, you know, hearing that. Just, yeah, it's just really cool to see how much everyone enjoys it. And yeah, and even I just also love how much my teammates and the other players and stuff love it, and especially like the non-Indigenous ones as well. Because I think, you know, Indigenous Round is such a good opportunity to educate people. And yeah, this can play like a little part in that, especially for the guys who are involved in it. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, when people see those boots go up for auction, they should definitely be getting around those every year. Just a little plug there. One thing that I do realise.
Yes.
When was the last time you actually got to play in your boots in Indigenous Rounds? Because I think even this year you were injured.
No, I was injured this year. I didn't play in it last year. It was the year before. We versed Cronulla at
Shark Park.
Yep.
That was it. Because there's been quite a few times where you haven't, and this kind of brings me into the journey that we spoke about at the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah.
The setbacks.
Yes.
And the injuries that you've had. What was the first? Was the first major one a syndesmosis? Or the Achilles?
Yeah. No, my first like major one was the Achilles. Syndesmosis 6 weeks. So yeah.
These days it's not as.
Yeah. So we'll take that. That was all right.
But it's not been a small number of incidents for you in your NRL career.
Yeah. No, it's sort of. So when I was in the 20s at the Roosters, I had like this ankle injury, talar dome lesion they call it. So basically ripped some cartilage off the top of my, good fun
nice.
Stuff. And that took a while to sort of heal. So like even the year that I made my debut, I was playing with it, but just like limping around when I wasn't. Yeah. And then had like a good sort of maybe year, like my last year at the Roosters was really good. I pretty much played every game. Then went up to Newcastle. I think like third game there, subluxed my shoulder. So then I missed like maybe 8 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And then come back from that and then had a couple shocking games and then started to like find my feet and was playing pretty good footy and was like really enjoying it. And then I tore my adductor. So that was, and then I tried to play again the week after, like doing it. And then in captain's run, yeah, same thing. Like it just popped again. But because like they say if you fully snap your adductor, it's good. But if you like partially tear your adductor, it's not good. You need to like, so the Knights thinking was, all right, we'll just play with it. And then if you just fully rupture it, it's good because then you don't need the surgery. Like it'll just heal itself. And then I tried to come back from that. Ended up having to get like a groin reco that off season.
A groin reco?
Yeah, it was weird because I ended up having like a kind of like a hernia and it like ripped my ab off as well. They didn't know that once they went in.
So you did a good job of it.
I basically did a good job.
Yeah.
And because we were almost tossing up not to get surgery. I know. And then the surgeon, when he went in, he was like, mate, lucky we did that. That would have been no good if you kept trying to go with that. So
what year was that?
That was 2018.
Yeah.
And then come back the next year and did all preseason at fullback. So like, because I went to Newcastle, was playing 5'8". Then Kalen was going to 5'8", so I went to fullback. And then like 3 games into that, I did my MCL. Yeah, and then I ended up missing, I think, a month because of that. And then come back from that, sort of like thrown into play 5'8". Hadn't done much training. Yeah, at 6. Played a bit, and then I ruptured my patella tendon. No, not my patella tendon. Sorry, my plantar fascia in my foot. Yeah.
Yep.
In Magic Round.
God.
I know. And then so I was playing every week with that needled. Yeah, which was a punish. Yeah, because I played the next week with it instead of sort of having like a couple of weeks off. So I just basically numbed the foot every game.
God.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And then got through the rest of that year all good. And then the next year was sort of the COVID year. Played the first 2 games.
Yep.
I'd moved into playing lock, so I was playing in a different spot. And then, actually that year before, I ended up playing hooker because Denny Levi broke his leg. Then I ended up moving to hooker for like half the year. But then, so this is when Adam O'Brien had come in.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want you to play lock. So sweet, did all that. Played the first 2 games, like we were playing good. And then obviously COVID happened. And then first game back from COVID, did the syndesmosis, which is fine, 6 weeks out. And then second game back from the syndesmosis on the opposite side, did my Achilles, which was pretty gnarly. Yeah.
And then
that
patella?
that was good. And then one of my last games for the Knights, I stepped and didn't know it at the time, but partially tore my patella. So
right.
Yeah.
So it was just
tendinopathy started basically after that. So I'd stepped, jammed it, and then completely forgot about it. Played like it wasn't obviously just like a sore patella. Yeah, it was sore, but it is what it is. And then come back to the Roosters, and then that preseason, maybe like a month in, stepped again, and then partially tore it again, and then they scanned it, and then they saw that it was I had the partial tear. So then I come back from that, played that whole year, pretty much with it. By the end of the year, like it was getting real bad where I couldn't do captain's run and play. Like I would just not train on captain's run because
it was too sore.
It'd get too sore if I would do back-to-back days. And we were like just managing it as best as we could, PRP as much as we could, off legs, like icing all the time. And then it felt like it was coming good come pre-season, and then just after Christmas, maybe like second or third day back, we were playing some conditioning touch and just went to step someone and the whole thing just popped. Yeah.
And what did it end up being?
Yeah, patella tendon rupture.
So that's the kneecap then is loose,
so it's like it's the
essentially.
tendon that holds the kneecap. You can see the scar down the middle. I don't know if they can see that. But my kneecap was essentially sitting in my quad as well.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. And then I had all intentions of getting back from that last year, but the body just didn't want to. Yeah.
Well, geez, when you lay it out like that across your career, like we know that the sport of rugby league is a physical one and there has a lot of dangers to it. But I think also you've been a bit unlucky with a lot of that stuff too. Like after going through the ups and downs when the last one happened, because that was really hectic.
Yeah, that was a bit full on.
Did you feel like, okay, I've been through this before, or was it different? Yeah, like what was the go there in terms of your mental space?
To be honest, like, you know, I had conversations with Jodie about not playing again. Yeah. With mum, sorry.
Yeah. I know you always call her Jodie.
Yeah.
That's okay. We know what her name is.
I think because like with the like the charity and stuff, we work together, so try and keep it professional, you know. But yeah, no, I had we spoke about it for sure. Like I was looking at what can I do.
Yeah.
So kind of like and then the hardest thing about last year was, I mean, being told that you're going to be back by this certain amount of time and then just your body not wanting that to happen. Like as much as training and icing and everything that I could do, the knee just didn't want to do anything really. Yeah. So as soon as I started training, it would just get so fat. Like we had to drain it a few times. We're trying to work out like if there was an infection because they were just like unsure, but there's like something that comes with doing this and having your legs straight for so long, because you got to keep your legs straight for 6 weeks. Yeah, in a straight brace. Yeah. So just like literally can't bend it. Yeah. Because the tendon needs to set. Is that your knee and like your fat pad and all of that, because it's not moving, it all thickens. So then when I was starting training, there's like there was not much give in my knee. So it was just jamming and that was just took a long time, and then compounded with the fact I was off contract. So I was that
really puts the pressure on.
So I was like talking to because originally like the Roosters, I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay at the Roosters, and then I was having conversations with clubs and they're like, we want to see you play. I was like, well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I also have played NRL for like 7 years. So you need to see if I can play. Just go and watch any of those games.
I think No, but all through that journey, right, to go from, I don't know if this is the end or this could be the end.
Yeah.
A big part of the work that we do with the charity is around that resilience. What practices are in place for you that helped you get through that?
Yeah. I couldn't really have quit if I am trying to preach resilience.
Well,
Could have
Good motivator.
I think it gave me a lot of time to reflect having this injury, because like I was doing nothing all day. Yeah. Especially for 6 weeks, I pretty much just sat around in my mum's lounge room. Watching TV, playing PlayStation. There's only so much of that you can do, and then you're just like, all right. So it gave me a lot of time to think, and I was like, what do I want to do? Like, and why do I play this? Like, if I'm in this position, you know, like, is the reason that I play strong enough to be able to keep doing it? And then I just thought back to like the little kid that we spoke about earlier, and you know, the one that all he wanted to do was play NRL, and I'm in that position now. So, like, I've got to make the most of it. Like, I can't quit at 27 and not really have done the things that I wanted to do because I've had some injuries. Like, that was my thoughts around it. It was just like, there's still so many things I want to achieve, and in reality, I've still got a long time left. So like, go and make the most of it and have fun with it. And after the Achilles, I also had the same thoughts as well. Was just like, just enjoy it. Why did you play the game to start with? It was because you loved it. You loved having fun with your mates, and all you want to do was play NRL. Now you're doing that. Like, have that same perspective of having fun with it. Yeah, because, you know, there's times you can take it too seriously. You've got to take it seriously. Yeah. There's like a lot on the line, but the reason why you started playing was because you loved it, and you loved being with your mates every day. And like, even though last year was bad, I was still going in the training every day, still training. I was getting paid, which helps as well. Good physios. Like, there's a lot to be grateful for, and there's a lot of people that were in way worse positions. And I think just having that time to like have the perspective on why I play, but then also that in the scheme of things, people have it way worse. So just, keep going, get the most out of it, enjoy it. Yeah. And then like, I didn't really expect that this year would happen, to be honest. But
Is that, it's almost like you had to, I don't know how much you think about the universe or whatever, but it's almost like that really crap time you had to get through. Yeah. And it's like, and now, you're on the other side of the rainbow and whatever. What's this year been like for you? Because it's like, I've not seen you since Origins happened or anything. Like, it just seems like, you know, you're coming into your moment.
Yeah, no, it's been like very surreal for sure. I've just, because like my biggest thing this year was, like, I started in New South Wales Cup as well.
You started the year in New South Wales?
Yeah. So I played the first 2 games there. I went on the Vegas trip. I was 18th man for that game. And I was gutted about it. Yeah. But I just thought, like, go back to New South Wales Cup and just have fun. Like, really enjoy. It's a good opportunity to enjoy your footy. And like, it's a good way to get your legs back because you haven't played in a long time. Yeah. And there's no pressure. You're going to go and play 80 minutes, and did that for a couple of weeks. And then, just like, I honestly, the game that we played against Manly, Blacktown, it was like one of the funnest games of footy I've ever played. Like, it was, Gus was playing as well. And then the hardest part now has been, I guess, playing well, like sort of making Origin, which was just crazy, and then coming back and then not putting pressure on yourself. Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, it's just like, it's hard for sure, but it's just having the internal dialogue with yourself when you do put the pressure on is like, the reason that you have been playing well, the reason that you got picked in Origin was because you were enjoying it, not because you were putting pressure on yourself to perform. Like, it was like having still, so don't get into that cycle. It's just like, just keep having fun with it. Yeah.
So you're having that internal dialogue, but are you also saying it to Jody on the phone, or like, is there someone that you kind of bounce off with that stuff?
There's a guy at the Roosters, his name's Valan, and he's, I don't even know how you would describe his role, but he lives up north, and he comes down every once a month or something like that. But so like, I'll know this, but then I'll have a conversation with him and say it out loud.
Does that just keep you accountable then?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, it's just like a good, to just get back in or to just realign yourself, I think, just actually saying it out loud and saying it internally, there's a difference, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But definitely keeps you accountable, and it's like, all right, well, you've got to just keep doing that. So,
what you said, it's been a bit surreal, but the phone call about Origin, what was that like?
That was, it was hilarious because I was just about to do the Matty John show, and
did you have to keep you cool? Was that gonna? Had they announcing the team that night or the next day?
They were announcing that team that night. But I've like rocked up to the Fox building and they're all just like, everyone's like, are you in? Are you in? Because they were saying like the predicted teams and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have not spoken to him, I promise. And they all thought I was lying. They all thought I knew.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting in the green room just about to go on.
Oh, like that close.
I swear. And Matt is on my phone and I'm showing him a photo of my boots. We're talking some boot science stuff. Yeah. And he's like zooming in on my things and then he's on my phone and it pops up Madge. Yeah. I was like, oh no. And then he just looks at me and then he's like, you should take this. And it was like everyone in the room, like you could hear a pin drop. Like they're all just looked at me.
Wow.
They're all like, and then so, but the reception's real bad in that building.
Oh God.
Yeah. And so it's like dropping out. And then Matt's like, just come with me, we'll go outside. So then he like walked me outside and then he's like, just use this key card to get back in. And then spoke to Madge and it was crazy. I thought, because I'd sort of heard like Robbo sort of said like, mate, you're pretty close. I missed game one because of the throat.
Yeah.
And I just hoped that I would get another opportunity and or even, I thought maybe I might just be in the squad, which would be cool. I've never been in the Origin squad before.
Yeah, well.
So I was like, even if I'm just in camp and stuff, like I would love that. And then he's like, you're on the bench. I was like, what? Really? That's crazy. And then had to go on and Madge is like, mate, can you just not tell like anyone other than your sort of family and stuff? I'm like, bit of a problem. I'm just about to do the Matty John show and they all saw me take this call. He's like, all right. He's like, take your phone on the Matty John show. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if I text you and say you can say you're in, do it. If not, can you just try and like play it coy? Yeah. And then first thing they ask me as soon as I sit down is, so have you heard from Matt? No. And then Matt's like, we'll put your phone on the table. So then I'm sitting there and then as soon as every break I'm checking it, I'm like, come on, Madge. Like, and then I reckon it was the worst probably input I've ever had on a show.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I just sat there like this, like freaking out. Like,
far out.
Which was cool. But that whole experience was just, so surreal. Like I'm so grateful that I got to do it and to win as well. Like far out.
It's so hectic. And I think like the shots that I've seen like from that first game, every moment of you in that Blues jersey and like this whole year, like you said, you saying I've just been focusing on having fun. That makes so much sense. I think anyone who's been watching you this year or will watch you for the end of the year can just see that's exactly what you're doing. What do you think if you could, talk to that little Connor who all he ever wanted to do was play in the NRL and all this sort of stuff and everything that you've kind of been through in this journey, what would he think of you now?
Oh, I think he just probably wouldn't be able to believe it, to be honest. Yeah. Be shocked. I think, I mean, even like for myself, probably having all these injuries and stuff the last few years, like it almost I'd always still wanted to play for the Blues, but I just thought that boat might have sailed, to be honest. So even, you speak to me last year. And for me to be sitting here and,
looking at post-footy life.
And just, like, I did, I went on ABC and stuff the other day with Andrew and that. And, like, last year we did a show from a call and MC was there. And he's like, mate, what are you doing? Like, he's like, do you need me to try and, like, speak to some clubs for you? Yeah. Because it was like, it was looking like I was going to have to go to the Super League. So this whole year, just the way it's turned out, even me last year wouldn't believe it. So I couldn't imagine what if I was 6 years old and he said this is, what's going to happen. But it also makes it everything worth it too. Everything that I've been through. But I mean, it was anyway. Like even if I didn't play for New South Wales or didn't get back and play well, like, yeah, all the injuries and all the hardships has just been worth this whole journey. Like, it still was awesome before that. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just awesome now, but it was still epic last year. Yeah.
How proud are you of yourself?
Yeah, weird one. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. Yeah, I don't really sort of think about it too much, but yeah, I mean, not just proud of myself though, like proud of everyone who's been involved in it. Proud of, mum and dad being able to get me to this point. Like all the stuff that my brothers had to miss out on. All the sacrifices that everyone's made, and all the people who have helped out on the journey as well, like the guys that I spoke about earlier. I wouldn't be here without anyone, so any of them. So it's hard for me to say like I'm proud of myself because I wouldn't be in this position without them. But but it's been a good journey so far. So still like some things that I want to tick off, and got a few more years left, hopefully.
Oh yeah. Well, I think in saying that and saying that it's all those other people that have supported you along the way, you become a representation of more than just yourself. I think my last question for you, Connor, you've had this incredible journey with your football career. You're doing this really important work with Cultural Choice Association. You're also studying your MBA now, which is like with all your spare time. You have been pushed from when you were a kid, as you described, by those support networks who I think knew your potential, and that's why they pushed you. What do you want your legacy to be when we're a few decades down the track and Connor Watson's name comes up in the pub conversation?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I think probably the impact that I have away from rugby league, more so. Like, I think the stuff that I do away from football, I probably hope that's, my legacy, like, further down the track. I hope we get to achieve what we want to with the charity and start reducing the rates of Indigenous youth suicide. And it's a tough question. But I think that stuff in the long run's more important. As important football is right now, long term, like, I think if we can make a big impact with the charity, like, and really change people's lives, that's probably the most important thing. And
you just keep having fun while you're on the footy field.
And just enjoying it.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Connor. It's been a really, really great conversation to hear all of that. I think, I'm so happy for you. It's been amazing to see how happy you seem this year and then all the other things that you're achieving off the field. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Marlee.
Anytime.
And me.
I don't know about you, but I can't wipe the smile off my face after hearing someone talk about how they've achieved their dream and they're doing it now whilst having so much fun. I want to thank Connor so much for sharing his story, his journey, not only in his personal life with his family, which birthed Cultural Choice Association, but also particularly in that journey with all of the injuries he's faced throughout his career. To see the success that he's had in 2024 so far is even more special knowing what he's gone through. I hope you take away from this conversation the way that Connor embodies resilience and how a little bit of a push from your support network when you're growing up can be really beneficial going into your adult life. And tune in to the next episode where I speak to Jonathan Thurston.
Things aren't going great. I think it's due to loss of culture. not knowing who you are, not knowing what you stand for. Yeah, I think once people start to understand who they are, their identity, they certainly become a stronger person in society.